Welcome to today's Catholic Daily Readings from Christus Dominus Bread of Life. A reading from the second book of Samuel. And the king said to Joab, the leader of his army, "Travel through all the tribes of Israel from Dan to Beersheba, and number the people so that I may know their number." Then Joab gave the number of the description of the people to the king, and there were found of Israel 800,000 able-bodied men who might draw the sword, and of Judah 500,000 fighting men. Then the heart of David struck him after the people were numbered, and David said to the Lord, "I have sinned greatly in what I have done, but I pray that you, O Lord, may take away the iniquity of your servant, for I have acted very foolishly." And David rose up in the morning, and the word of the Lord went to Gad, the prophet and seer of David, saying, "Go and say to David, Thus says the Lord, I present to you a choice of 3 things. Choose one of these, whichever you will, so that I may do it to you." And when God had gone to David, he announced it to him, saying, "Either 7 years of famine will come to you in your land, or you will flee for 3 months from your adversaries, and they will pursue you, or there will be a pestilence in your land for 3 days. Now then, deliberate, and see what word I may respond to him who sent me." Then David said to God, "I am in great anguish, but it is better that I should fall into the hands of the Lord, for his mercies are many than into the hands of men." And the Lord sent a pestilence upon Israel from the morning until the appointed time, and there died of the people from Dan to Beersheba 70,000 men. And when the angel of the Lord had extended his hand over Jerusalem so that he might destroy it, the Lord took pity on the affliction. And he said to the angel who was striking the people, "It is enough, hold back your hand now." And the angel of the Lord was beside the thrashing floor of Araunah the Jebusite. And when he had seen the angel cutting down the people, David said to the Lord, "I am the one who sinned, I have acted iniquitously. These ones who are the sheep, what have they done? I beg you that your hand may be turned against me and against my father's house."
I counted what I could command, I measured what I could defend. Unnumbered swords I weighed the ground, and trusted what my hands had found. I asked for proof, I asked for strength, I asked how far my reach had stretched. But every number spoke my fear. I wanted control, not you near. Lord, forgive the wrong I have done. I hid my guilt, I tried to run. I named my strength, I claimed the throne. And learned too late I stood alone. Forgive the wrong I've done. The silence broke, my heart was struck. The weight of it came down all at once. I saw the cost I could not pay. I watched fearless fall away. These sheep are yours, they bid no wrong. trusted counts instead of grace, and led them into judgment's place. Lord, forgive the wrong I have done. Has stopped pretending, has stopped the lie. I named the sin I did not hide. I said it plain, I said it true. I cannot save myself from you. I confess, and you answer. Oh, forgive the wrong I have done. You took the guilt, you bore the sum. The waters rose and judgment came. You stayed the sword, you spoke my name. Lord, forgive the wrong I have done. You are my shelter in the flood. You are my mercy. You are my God.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. And departing from there, he went away to his own country, and his disciples followed him. And when the Sabbath arrived, he began to teach in the synagogue. And many, upon hearing him, were amazed at his doctrine, saying, "Where did this one get all these things? And what is this wisdom which has been given to him, and such powerful deeds which are wrought by his hands? Is this not the carpenter, the son of Mary, the brother of James and Joseph and Jude and Simon? Are not his sisters also here with us?" And they took great offense at him. And Jesus said to them, "A prophet is not without honor, except in his own country and in his own house and among his own kindred." And he was not able to perform any miracles there, except that he cured a few of the infirm by laying his hands on them. And he wondered because of their unbelief, and he traveled around in the villages, teaching. Join us for today's reflection. David counted his army. That is all he did. He ordered a census. No blood on his hands, no adultery, no murder plot, just a census. And 70,000 people died. Something about this census was deeply wrong. Joab, the ruthless general who had murdered Absalom against David's direct orders, who had assassinated rivals without a second thought. Even Joab tried to talk the king out of it. "Why does my lord the king want to do this?" David did it anyway. 9 months and 20 days later, when the numbers came in, David's heart struck him. He knew immediately he had sinned. But why? What was so evil about counting soldiers? The census was not about information. It was about trust. David wanted to know his strength. He wanted to measure his security. He wanted to quantify what he could rely on if trouble came. And in doing so, he forgot who had been his strength all along. This is the sin that looks like nothing, the sin that costs nothing, the sin of quietly, gradually shifting your trust from God to something you can count and measure and control. You do not have to commit adultery to commit this sin. You do not have to murder anyone. You just have to start believing that your security comes from the numbers in your bank account, the degrees on your wall, the connections in your phone, the locks on your door. The punishment was severe. A plague swept through Israel. 70,000 died between morning and the appointed time. And when the angel stretched out his hand toward Jerusalem to destroy it, David saw him and cried out, "It is I who have sinned. It is I, the shepherd, who have done wrong. But these sheep, what have they done? Let your hand be against me and my father's house." Here is David at his best, not deflecting, not blaming circumstances, stepping in front of the sword meant for others and saying, "Take me instead." This is why God called him a man after his own heart, not because David never sinned. He sinned catastrophically, repeatedly, publicly, but when confronted, David owned it. He did not minimize, he did not explain, he confessed, "Lord, forgive the wrong I have done." The psalm today is the prayer of someone who has stopped pretending. "I acknowledged my sin to you, my guilt I covered not. I said, I confess my faults to the Lord, and you took away the guilt of my sin." There is a direct line between hiding sin and misery. As long as I kept silent, my bones wasted away. Unconfessed sin eats you from the inside. It costs more to hide it than to admit it. But blessed is the one whose fault is taken away, whose sin is covered. Blessed is the man to whom the Lord imputes not guilt. Now look at Jesus in Nazareth. He came home, back to the village where he had grown up, where everyone knew him, where he had learned carpentry from Joseph, where his mother still lived, where his brothers and sisters still walked the streets. He stood up in the synagogue on the Sabbath and taught, and the people who had known him since childhood were astonished, but not in a good way. Where did this man get all this? What kind of wisdom has been given him? What mighty deeds are wrought by his hands? Is he not the carpenter, the son of Mary? They knew about the miracles. Word had spread. They admitted the wisdom was remarkable, but they could not get past the fact that this was the kid who used to make furniture down the street. They took offense at him, and Jesus could do no mighty work there except to heal a few sick people. Mark says he was amazed at their unbelief. Think about that. The God who is never surprised, never caught off guard, never lacks understanding, was amazed. Their unbelief was so total, so complete, so willfully stubborn that it stopped Jesus in his tracks. Familiarity had made them blind. They thought they knew him. They thought knowing his family meant they knew his limits. They thought his ordinary past disqualified him from an extraordinary present. A prophet is not without honor except in his native place and among his own kin and in his own house. Here is the connection between these readings. Both are about misplaced trust and the blindness it creates. David trusted his army instead of his God. The people of Nazareth trusted their assumptions instead of the evidence in front of their faces. David's census was the sin of quantifying what should be surrendered. Nazareth's rejection was the sin of categorizing what should be worshipped, and both ended in tragedy. 70,000 dead, a village that missed the Messiah standing in their synagogue. What are you counting that you should be surrendering? What are you so familiar with that you have stopped seeing it clearly? Maybe it is your spouse. You have been married so long you have forgotten to be amazed. Maybe it is your faith. You have heard the gospel so many times it has lost its power to astonish. Maybe it is the Eucharist, bread and wine, week after week, until it becomes routine instead of miracle. Familiarity does not have to breed contempt, but it often breeds blindness. David's response to his sin is the model. When he saw what his misplaced trust had cost, he did not defend himself. He did not explain. He confessed. He offered to take the punishment himself. And when God told him to build an altar on the thrashing floor of Arona, and Arona offered to give him the land and the oxen for free, David refused. "I will not sacrifice to the Lord my God burnt offerings that cost me nothing." Real repentance costs something. Real worship costs something. If it costs you nothing, it might not be real. What would it cost you to surrender the thing you have been counting? What would it cost you to see with fresh eyes the person or the truth you have grown too familiar with? "Lord, forgive the wrong I have done."